here. My brother's he has the main eulogy and tribute, so I'm just gonna say a few little thoughts for my sister and I, my two sisters and I. I'll start out with my thoughts. And I have many wonderful memories and stories about my mother, and I would like to just share a few of things that have been special to me. She was truly the ultimate mother, and I believe that this was her calling in life. She grew up as an only child, and this was very important to her to have a family. I wanted to say, too, that something I just found out about my mom not too long ago was that she stayed at home until she got married, and she never had a bed. She lived in a one-bedroom house with her mom and her dad. Her mom died at 19, when she was 19, of breast cancer. And then she lived with her dad until she got married, but she slept on the couch for her entire life. So my dad said he rescued her and gave her her first bed. One of my favorite memories when I grew up was in grade school when I was little, and we had lots of roses in our front yard. And so we thought it was pretty cool that my mom would cut our hair in these buns, and she'd cut a fresh rose and put it in the bun, and we'd either go to church on Sunday morning with that or sometimes to school. But to get our hair up that, she had this stuff, and now I'm dating myself, and maybe some people remember, it was called Dippity-Doo. And it was this tall bottle of like hair gel, basically. And so it came clear, and we always had this really crunchy hair all the time, and everybody would want to fill our hair. One time we went to the store, though, they didn't have the clear, so they had green Dippity-Doo. So we thought, I can't really go on your hair green, but surely enough, my hair turned green, and so people would look at the top of my hair and go, that girl's hair is green. So I had that for a while. We didn't buy that again. Another thing, too, that I remember is when she used to sew all our clothes when we were younger until I was about 10 years of age. And then we had a seamstress who actually is here today, Olga. I don't know where she's sitting or not, but she sewed many of our clothes after that. But one time, I remember specifically in the middle of summer, my mom made me a fur coat with a muffler and everything, and I had to stand on the table for several nights while she hemmed it up in the middle of the summer, and it was beastly hot with this fur coat on in the summer, but I could not wait to get it off. We all played musical instruments. That was very important to my mom, that we learned music, and so we all started out on the piano, but I think only the girls kept it up, and my brothers did trumpet and trombone, but lessons, of course, were very expensive, and on a teacher's salary that wasn't always possible, so my mom took on odds and end jobs all the time. She sold encyclopedias door to door, and she was quite the salesman, if you knew my mom, and she probably half the neighborhood had World Book encyclopedias. Then she sold Avon, and that was really fun because then we got all the little samples and the little lipsticks too. And then she ended up selling Tupperware, and so we even have some of her green old, from the 70s Tupperware at her house. And then she finally went back to work when my brother was in junior high as a part-time bookkeeper. Another thing that my mom taught all us girls was to shop. Let me tell you, she was a great shopper, and we spent hours downtown. She taught us well. She was very prudent, and we usually, went on sales, but she had really great taste. The Crescent and the Bon Marché were our staples. We were always downtown on the big sales. And when Nordstrom's came to town, let me tell you, we were in heaven. That's where I think I got my first credit card, and I still have it. My husband can attest to that one. I even have to tell one little story, just a quick one, when we were down to the Crescent on some big sale they had, and we were going to get, all the girls were going to get these rocking chairs. My mom had a heart arrhythmia, and she had to sit down, and kind of like you, Dad, here. She had to sit down right in the entrance to the Crescent, and her pulse was like 200 to 300 a minute, but she was like, no, go get the chairs, I'll be fine, just go. And so we left her and got the chairs and came back. The last trip I took this year was with my mom, was going to Disneyland. My mom and Dad drove down there in April. It was for spring break, and my daughter and I and her friend flew down there and met them. And it was really special. My mom hadn't been back since 1970 when we took the whole family on our big California trip. She was quite a trooper. She actually went the entire day. We were supposed to go to both parts of it, but she was just having fun in the one entrance, and I tried to get her to go in a wheelchair, and she looked at me like I was crazy, like, are you kidding me? no, I'm not doing that. And she walked around the whole day until nighttime. And then we took a very special picture of her. My dad wanted to make sure she got on the teacups. That's the first thing they visited. And so we got a picture of my mom and dad, and we have it in the back there. My dad, he took my sister Becky there the first time they went when she was a baby, and she'd always go, faster, Daddy, faster. So he wanted a picture of Mom and him on the teacups. One other little thing, we were standing in line there, and as we talked about, my mom was very proud to be a Norwegian, so we were standing in line, and she saw this blonde guy, and she said, of course, are you Norwegian? And he's like, no. But then she started this great conversation with him. But that's my mom. Whenever somebody was blonde, of course, she had to ask him if she was Norwegian, because she needed to talk about that with him. My last memory is this last week when I was sitting in hospice with my mom, and the rounding physician came in and sat down and just wanted to know a little bit about more about my mom. And he asked me what my favorite memory was of my mom. And instantly, I didn't have to think twice about it. As I said, my parents went down to Southern California for several winters in 2000 and during that time. And so they came back and said, you guys, someone has to come and visit us down there. It was really hard for my mom to be away from all her kids and grandkids for 2 months. So, of course, I was like, I'll go, I need to. And I told my mom before she left, my kids were 4 years and 18 months old. So I said, all I want is a cup of coffee and to read the paper in peace. So my first night down there, I woke up to my mom waking me up. I can just smell her lotion on her right now. And she had a cup of coffee for me, gave me a kiss on the cheek, and handed me a paper and went out the door. And that was a really precious memory. That's the kind of the end of mine. And now I'm going to read I'm going to read Linda's. A little saying for Linda. It's entitled Mama. Oh, fiddlesticks. That's what Mama would say when something went wrong. Hooray for the grandkids when they did a sporting event. And let me tell you, my mom could yell. Anybody around here, she screamed. I mean, you had to plug your ears. Congratulations when we won an award. I love you every time she saw or took care of her grandbabies. She was all about her kids and grandkids, and she loved the Lord. She had 5 kids that she graciously gave back to the Lord after each one was born. My mom and I were very close, and she was truly my best friend. We talked about hurts, pains, and our relationship with Jesus. She always told me to pray. Prayer changes things, and you need to have faith and trust in the Lord. I remembered what Mom taught me. Just give it all to Jesus. She prayed diligently for each of her children and carried a special burden for us, especially me. I think some of the wrinkles on her face came from me and her times in prayer. My remembrance of my mom is she never gave up. Not on me or the road that God took her down. It was always a straight one. It was not always a straight one, but she chose to stay on the path that God had planned for her life. Her faith, trust, and love for the Lord were passed on to all of us. We have big shoes to fill every day, but I ask for God's mercy and forgiveness. My prayer is that her legacy will be mine too. I love you, Mama. And then I just want to end with Becky's. It's been a long time since I've been able to call my mom and just share a story or my dreams. I've missed my mom, but I've cherished the last few weeks. The grip of her hand and the touch of her cheek. Whispers of, I love you, like combing her beautiful hair. Always hearing thank you. Mom's favorite message on my birthday card was to tell me that when I was born, she loved me so much that she didn't know how she would have enough love left over for any more children. But she did. She had 4 more love affairs. And then we just want to read the Proverbs 31 woman from the Bible, and it's a little personalized for Mom. Who can find a virtuous and capable mother? She was more precious than rubies. Her husband could trust her, and she greatly enriched his life. She brought him good, not harm, all the days of her life. For a Christian wife brings holiness to her marriage. She made sure her children were always spotless and well taken care of. She started her chores early, preparing meals, cleaning, and laundry. which was quite a task for 5 children. She was energetic, strong, and a hard worker. She made sure she spent her money wisely. We were not rich, but she could make us look like we were. Mom was smart by earthly standards. She didn't have to sacrifice so much for her family, but she chose to. She carefully watched everything in her household and never suffered from laziness. A Christian mother brings holiness to her children. Her children, Becky, Bob, Deanna, Linda, and Craig, stand here today, and we bless her. There are many virtuous and capable women in this world, but Mom, you surpass them all. Thank you for our Christian heritage. Well done, thy good and faithful mother.